What's up, Hustle fam? Welcome back to the Holeshot Hustle. I'm your host, Logan Mower.
And I'm your co-host, Joe Mower.
Today I'm stoked because we've got a super fast youth racer in the studio, someone who also happens to be one of my best friends. Hailing from Maple Valley, Washington, Jax McCarthy has been on the grind, training full-time at the Oakhill Training Facility down in Texas.
That's right, and all that hard work is paying off. Jax and his mom, Shannon, are joining us fresh off Thanksgiving MX in Mesquite, Nevada, where Jax locked in 3 podium finishes.
And it doesn't slow down from there. Right after the show, they're headed to AZ Open for Jax's final races on the 85 and Supermini before making the big move to the 125.
We're also honored to welcome Jax's mom, Shannon McCarthy, into the studio, our very first Moto Mom guest on the Holeshot Hustle.
Shannon is a huge part of the engine behind Jax's success, along with her husband, Chris. She's part owner of McCarthy Custom Homes. She works remotely and spends much of the year on the road with Jax, traveling to nationals all over the country, living with him at Oakhill while he chases his dreams.
We've shared a lot of great memories and adventures with the McCarthys over the years, and while we don't get to see them as often these days, we're fired up to catch up and hear what's ahead for this next chapter.
But first, this episode of the Holeshot Hustle is brought to you by DeltaFit, a training program built specifically for motocross racers and riders.
DeltaFit is owned and operated by Tyler Harris, who's a motocross racer himself. His program is designed to help youth racers build strength, flexibility, and cardio using movements that actually translate to riding a dirt bike.
I'm using the DeltaFit app right now, and it's been a game changer for me. I open the app, see exactly what my workout is for the day, and follow along with the built-in video guides, no guessing and no excuses.
They also offer custom meal plans to help racers fuel their bodies and get the most out of their training.
If you want to take your fitness and your riding to the next level, check out DeltaFit. You can call or text 435-979-4812 or visit deltafit.com.
Huge thanks to DeltaFit for supporting the Holeshot Hustle.
All right, let's get into it. Jax and Shannon McCarthy.
Let's do it.
Welcome to the Holeshot Hustle, Jax and Shannon.
Thanks, Logan.
Howdy.
It's good to have you guys here. How was the drive here? I think I already know. Pretty rough. First snow we've had here in a while.
Wasn't bad till like that last half hour till we got to your house and then it started snowing.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Pretty nasty transition coming from probably what was good weather in Mesquite to...
Yeah, it was crisp in Mesquite in the mornings, but it got warm in the afternoons. It was one of those ones where like you start with, all the layers and then by the afternoon you almost want to put shorts on.
Nice.
So
for those that don't know, we have just finished Thanksgiving MX 2025, where you were racing, right, Jax?
Yeah, it was an awesome race.
What classes did you race down there?
Mini Senior 1, Mini Senior 2, Supermini 1, Supermini 2, I do believe.
Gotcha. And how did you do?
I got second in 3 classes.
Wow. That's awesome, dude.
Thank you.
You psyched?
Yeah.
Yeah?
you're going to try that again and actually try not to be like, you're just like,
That's all right.
be a little more animated.
You don't have to if that's not how you feel. Those are good results, though. That's Thanksgiving is getting to be a pretty big race since they went AMA. Was there any big contenders there for you this weekend?
Maddox Zimmerman.
Oh wow!
And Dylan Graham.
Gotcha.
There were actually quite a few Loretta kids. Chris was saying, is it Giomi? There's a Giomi kid that he got third in one of them. He got an X. And then obviously Craven Earl.
Mm-hmm.
And Calvin Roberts.
I don't know if he went to Loretta's yet, but he's always been pretty fast. But there's quite a few Loretta kids there. So
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Fun races overall?
Yeah.
Good Thanksgiving. What'd you do for Thanksgiving dinner?
Ham, actually.
Ham? Did you do it at the track?
you want to hear that story?
Yeah.
So we were supposed to deep fry a chicken, but the other family we were with, they brought all the stuff to do it. And when they were putting it together, at first they couldn't find, there was a bolt missing. So then they spent, I don't know, maybe like an hour trying to find the bolt. Finally got it put together, turned it on, and he literally just walked around the corner to go get the oil and the pan melted. Like in 2 minutes. And
Wow.
so we're all standing there after, I think
Like
it must
the
have
aluminum
been,
pan.
yeah, the actual fry, like deep fryer pan.
Wow.
The bottom just melted out. And so I was just kind of standing there. I'm like, I don't think I don't think we're supposed to have turkey today. So luckily we had ham. So we all just had ham. And then we ended up, they drove to St. George and got a new one. So the next day we didn't want the turkeys to go bad. So the next day we had turkey like all day long.
Thanksgiving number 2, huh?
Mm-hmm.
How did you cook the ham? I guess you had a smoker or something.
I think they did it on a like a Blackstone or a Traeger.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
right on. And you guys were together with a group from Washington, is that right?
Yeah, we actually had let me see, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 different families parked where we were all from Washington.
That's a lot of folks from Washington.
Yeah. And there was even more than that. There was some that didn't end up with the group that were also still there. I think we actually had a really good turnout from Washington.
Nice.
So, yeah.
What was your favorite moment from the race?
Probably, I actually couldn't know. All the races were pretty fun.
How'd you feel when you first went out on your first race?
Well,
The
we never
first
got
race
a
was
good.
his roughest race.
Yeah, I got last off the start, and then I somehow salvaged the start, and then I was
He
going
was
down
doing
the
this
hill.
thing where he'd like come into the first turn just deep in the pack. And then I don't know if he just ducked and weaved, but by the next turn and then you're going over the rollers, he'd somehow come out like 4th or 5th.
Wow.
But he would go into like the first turn when you start to go around that light pole.
Yeah.
He'd be buried. I don't know how he salvaged it every time, but he got lucky.
Been putting in a lot of work, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what it was? All the work you've been putting in the last few years really sounds like it's coming together. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you see a window, might as well go for it.
And where are you guys headed from here?
AZ Open.
AZ Open. Now, have you guys been since we were there with you? So that's not a funny story, but a story, right? That was kind of a bummer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't left there not broken.
So you guys talked us into going. I don't think we had any plans of going. It was my memory. We were just going to do Thanksgiving MX.
Mm-hmm.
But you're brave, and your bravest gave us courage, and we're like, come on, let's go. And we're like, okay. And I remember Leslie was like, oh my gosh, are we really going to, we had no plans to do this. I'm like, come on, let's do it. And then we followed you guys down. And at practice, they had that big freaking triple.
Yeah, they
I'm
did
not
like
sure it
a
was a good
wall
idea.
jump that the kids were compressing their suspension all the way in and then somehow just like bouncing a triple.
I'm not sure that jump was a good idea, but
They took
yeah.
it out before the race, which was like the most annoying part to me.
Right.
Is they had it there for practice and then so many people got hurt. It's good that they took it out. We don't want anyone to get hurt, but to have your kid be the one that got hurt and you're not at the race and then they end up removing it. I was kind of like, oh, that's our luck.
Right.
So
you and Logan were out there trying it, and you ended up breaking, was it tib and fib?
No, just Tib.
Just tib. And so, and man, what a bummer for the weekend. And then you guys were like, well, we're out. And we're like, okay.
you're by yourself on your own.
Yeah.
We'll make the best of it. That was an awful weekend for us too. Huh?
Yeah, I came into this corner and I was like, so much pressure that I was just like kind of panic riding. Come into this corner, hit a braking bump, went over my bars and got this really nasty like burn on my hip. Like, and
Well, it was a mud race that
Yeah.
weekend too. So
Yeah.
it just overall, and your nerves, I don't know, like that was not a good weekend for
Then I
us.
crashed off the start. It was
Well, when you start traveling, that's just the way it goes. You got to work through that part.
Were you excited to go? I think you're in a good position to do super good there.
Hopefully.
Yeah. You excited?
Yeah.
You gonna bring home one of them giant cactuses?
This is him excited when
This
he's
is
nervous.
Jax excited.
Yeah.
Hopefully 3.
3?
3.
Are you gonna do the same classes you did at Thanksgiving?
I think we're gonna just because there's 3 mini seniors, so I think we're gonna do 3s.
No, there's like 285 classes and 85 open and 2 super minis. He could do all of them. So I think we're just going to have to decide which ones we want to do, figure it out.
Well, we look forward to seeing how you do, and we hope it goes smooth for you. Smoother than last time you were there anyway, right? Stay safe at practice, right?
Yeah, hopefully.
Well, I'm interested to hear, I've probably heard it before, but how did you get started with dirt bikes and racing and stuff like that? Can you take us back to the beginning?
Well, originally I got a XR50 for, what was it, like my 6th birthday?
5th or 6th, yeah.
And I just started riding in my backyard and loved it. And then like a year after that, I got a regular KTM 50 and I rode that for a good bit.
Well, right after you could walk, I got you that plastic Hot Wheels quad, like the green Kawasaki colored plastic Hot Wheels quad. And, you know, he'd be driving it around our house. And next thing you know, I'd walk out and he's, you know, he couldn't, maybe 2. He'd be standing on the seat with like balancing on one leg, driving the Hot Wheels around my house, doing weird tricks and stuff. And I don't know, like he had me nervous from the get-go, and he just was obsessed with, you know, riding. And then it went from there to, I think we had like a Tao, one of those Chinese, you know, Tao quads. And then we had 5 acres at that time, and the back half just had like a circular trail through the woods. And he would just be back there just doing hot laps, and maybe, I don't know, maybe he was 3 or 4 at that age, probably 4. And he'd be drifting it on 2 wheels sideways around the turn. And God, he used to make me so nervous. And I was right at that point where I'm like, do I need to stop him or can I trust him? Because he was in control,
Right.
you know, but it was scaring me. And so I would tell myself I have to trust him. You know, he has control. And he would always stop. We used to practice when he was little, and we bought a kill switch. We never ended up putting it on, but I would always threaten to put it on. And I was like, if I say stop, you stop. Like, if you don't stop, it goes away for the day. Like, you have to listen, or I will either be forced to put the kill switch on, or, you know, because he would just get going, and it could be, you know, I don't know, like maybe his sister's out there walking around, or maybe the dog got loose, or I needed to know he would listen and stop. And he's just obsessed. Like, he just was out there. That's all he ever wanted to do. And so then it went from that to eventually getting to the point where we got the XR50, because he kept saying he wanted 2 wheels.
Uh-huh.
And we grew up riding quads. Like, I met Chris at the dunes. You know, that was our history. And so we had 4 wheels, and he just kept asking for 2. And I had to sit and think, I'm like, did we watch a movie with dirt bikes? Like, why is he so obsessed with 2 wheels? And I kept thinking, and I even asked like Chris, I'm like, dude, where is that coming from? He just didn't stop. He kept asking for 2 wheels. So eventually we got him that Honda, and then that's, you know, he can go from there. That's where it started. But I wanted to make sure I told you guys about the quad and about him drifting and being silly. And, you know, it was just from the very beginning, that's just what he was just obsessed. So
It's so similar. You know, I remember when he started asking for a dirt bike too. I'd always had a 4-wheeler, and I was like, I don't think they make dirt bikes that small. And he was like, no, they do. And I'm like, really? I had no idea. But yeah, he kept insisting, kept pushing.
Yeah, they were like on the Target shelf.
Right.
You just like take it like this.
The little razors.
It looked like you'd put a doll on it, but somehow they
Dad,
drove them around the house.
Did I tell my story?
Well, you've already told it on the
Oh, yeah.
podcast before. You probably
Yeah.
have. So then you got the XR50, and you went from that to the KTM.
Yeah, and then
Well, your first race was on the XR50 though.
Oh, was it really?
oh yeah,
Oh.
I forgot about that part.
Now is the
And what was
XR?
your
Is that a
first race?
Cowie? Is it,
No,
what is
As
that?
a Honda.
XR. Okay.
That was your very first race. How'd that go?
I crashed about 20 times.
Okay, but what was the race? It was a big
Oh,
race.
it was Top Gun for
It's like one of the biggest races in the Northwest. I had no idea. Our friends invited us. It's kind of a team race. So you're on a team, and you get individual trophies, but then the team gets points as a team, and then the highest scoring team gets this trophy that's been passed down for many, many, many years. And it's very coveted to get that team trophy. And so we just got invited to be on a team just for fun. It wasn't one of the series teams. But I had no idea what I was getting into. I mean, I had like a baby on my hip. He had to work, so, you know, he wasn't there. And weirdly enough, we got there, and none of our friends even went to the line with me to help prepare me, tell me what to expect, like nothing. So Jax goes up there on what was clearly an insufficient machine. And
were all these parents way more experienced?
yes,
I guess, at this point? Oh,
yes. I was kind of, to be honest, if they listened to this, I was kind of disappointed with the amount of guidance we got, but they were busy. It was a big weekend. They were attending to their own kids. But we get up there, and Jax takes off, literally falls like 20 times, which is fine. It's his first race. He never even been on a track. He hadn't even ever ridden a track. He went straight from riding circles in our backyard to riding Grays Harbor.
It's a tough transition.
Yeah. So I had no idea at that age people would be jumping over his head. You know, he's fallen 100 times. I didn't know to tell him to get off the track. Like literally there was nothing.
It's so scary when you don't know at that stage. Yeah.
I had to hand Callie to a random person. I was like, you look like a really nice grandma. Can you please hold her? Handed Callie off and then took off running to go pick him up, you know, and then, you know, just learned from there, you know, how to talk to him about holding his line, getting off the track if he's in a, you know, bad place, picking up his bike. I actually think I got yelled at by a different parent that he shouldn't be out there. I think that was one of my first experiences too with the 50 parents. You know, and I kind of went back a little embarrassed.
Yeah, I mean, this probably wasn't a beginner class type race, right? It was probably...
Well, I think it was just like a 50 age class. So it's probably like the younger bracket 50 class. But no, because they do, so it would have been beginner. They do skill classes. I remember now. So it would have been just 50 beginner.
Oh, okay.
But
you got to start somewhere. I mean,
it's like probably like a full gate out there. So right. Anyways, he was hooked. I was mortified. I was like, this is ridiculous. I don't ever want to do this again. And all he was like, I need a real dirt bike. I'm like, oh my God. He couldn't get enough. So
I guess at that point you had a concept of what a real dirt bike was because you were watching them race that day and you're like, I'm on the wrong bike. You knew that right away, huh? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think I realized that the bike was terrible.
It was old, just, you know, like it's not even as big as a full-size pit bike. It was just like, you know, something we bought from someone that probably been sitting in a barn and you probably never had a lick of maintenance done to it. It was, I think we paid $500 for it. So
did he have to do much talking to get you talked into getting one?
I don't know, Chris. You think we went right out after that and bought the KTM? I think we did. I think we had it by the next race. So
nice.
Yeah.
And it's I forgot to establish at the beginning of this, but where are you guys out of? Where are you guys from?
Maple Valley, Washington.
Maple Valley, so the Pacific Northwest. Mm-hmm. So how far is the Top Gun race from you guys?
Oh, that's not that far. So that at that time it switches. Well, sometimes it switches. At that point, it was at Grays Harbor, which is the track that Ryan Villapoto used to own up there. Unfortunately, it's closed now. But that was actually the closest track to our house before it closed.
Gotcha.
Other than Pacific Raceways.
So you get a new dirt bike and you're all in at this point. You're like wanting to keep racing. Yeah.
Yeah. I was fully did.
And
we were locked in.
Where'd you do your next race at?
I think it was Pacific that I raced my 50.
It was either Horn Rapids or Pacific. For sure. One of those two.
Gotcha.
How was the transition to the from your Honda to the KTM?
I wouldn't know. I don't think I can remember.
Too long ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just remember like going to Horn and, you know, him getting 23rd, 24th, 25th. And I just remember slowly watching that number, you know, come down into, you know, where he was. We were at Pacific the first time he got his first place trophy. And we just happened to have family in town. So we still have the picture on our wall, but because we were all there, my aunts were there, my sister was there, and he got his first place. And I don't know, maybe it was like, you think like 3 or 4 months later, you got your first one in the beginner class? Maybe 6 months. I know we went all winter that winter and really gave him seat time and made sure he was riding because he was just so into it. And he had, he actually has double vision. A lot of people don't know that about him. He has double vision in his eyes. So he was having a hard time in kindergarten with, you know, reading and stuff like that because of the double vision. And so I think part of why, even though it scared me that I dove into it so much, was because when he was on that dirt bike, he felt like a superstar. But when he was home, he was really struggling with the reading and, you know, he didn't feel as good about himself at home. So when he was on the dirt bike, it gave him somewhere that he felt good about himself and was happy, you know? And so I wanted to give him that so that he could not just have life be about what was at that time tutoring, doctor's appointments, you know, us navigating our way through what we could and couldn't do to help his eyes. And And that was kind of a worry how that would affect, riding, but he has control over it when he's focused. It's when he's tired that it really affects him. And then unfortunately for him, the sunset motos, or like the tracks with a lot of shadows, he has to work harder. His eyes have to work harder than anyone else. Gotcha. So because it affects him even more, it actually can cause his eyes to not focus together from my understanding. It kind of triggers the condition. So he actually, it literally affects him more than other people. So I've always been really impressed that he can still power through at those times. And, I'm sure it has caused mistakes, but, he's just fought through it and figured out how to compensate. And I think trusted his skills so that, if he goes in and he can't see the rut, he just trusts himself to get through it.
Right.
So, but that's part of why we dove in so much, I think, is because it brought him so much confidence and happiness. And it was somewhere that he could excel when he was struggling, with what was the rest of his normal daily life,
right.
As far as school and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, that would be really scary, especially at Mesquite with all those big jumps and all those cast shadows.
When you have to head up the hill and the sun's coming over it, yeah.
I can't see any of the speed bumps up the hill. I mean, the rocks are just kicking my back tire. I can't avoid them at that point. I'm just going up the hill hoping I don't swap.
Yeah, I think he does pretty well for that. And I think he's just learning to compensate. So.
Well, what's an experience or a race or something that you remember most about those early 50 days that really sticks out in your mind? What about you, Mom? You remember?
I don't know. There's a lot of them, right? That's how it goes for moms. We got lots of memories. Just that, he used to have, there's a couple kids, when you're on 50s that are, the ones that they're always battling. And, he would just go back and forth, but never quite get the win. So that first win was pretty fun at, Pacific Raceways. And then, there's some other ones. He won, PRO. He won the 50 championship for, junior. And then he won both and if my memories, fail me and someone sees this and gets mad because their kid actually won it, I'm sorry, I'm not doing it on purpose. I don't have the results in front of me. But, I think it was the next year he won, like several of the intermediate classes. But that beginner year he got 8th, and a bunch of people were like, oh, you don't need to move him up, right? Like he got 8th. He can do beginner again next year. He could have. The rules said he could. But I knew he needed to move up. I knew he needed to go to junior. And because he was getting fast quick. And so I was like, no, we're going to practice over the winter. And then by the time it starts in the spring, he's going to be ready to ride junior. And he ended up winning the junior class. Nice. So he went from getting 8th in the beginner to winning the junior class. And maybe it's the junior year he won both the junior class and I think the open. And then the next year, I think he won like one of the intermediate classes. But it's just, I think that junior year, he got ran over on the last race of the series. On the start. And so I remember running out there, and I probably look like a Psycho 50 parent because I was like, you have to decide right now how much you want this championship. You can lay here and cry, or you can get on your bike and go, because that's really what's on the line. And he looked me in my eyes, hopped on his bike. Everyone was through the first couple turns, and he caught up to second.
Wow.
And he still won the championship. And then there was another weekend, I think probably that same year, he was battling with the same kid all year long. And, they were going through there was a rhythm section before the finish. And I remember thinking, you have to double it. Like, because I think at that point, that maybe these kids had only doubled the in and not the out. You know what I mean? Like they hadn't gotten the whole rhythm section.
Right.
And I was like, dude, you got to double it. Like they were neck and neck. And the finish is right after the rhythm section. And I almost remember thinking, I'm like, dude, he's like, we're in each other's brains. Because I said it. I'm like, you have to double it. And he just sent it.
Nice.
And then he literally won by like 3 feet.
Wow.
Against the other kid. So it's just moments like that, like watching him grow where, the racecraft, and just him being in doing the right thing at the right time under pressure, that was my favorite moments, watching back on those races. So, but I don't know. He gets nervous, but I'm sure there's lots of favorite moments for him. I could probably search my brain and think of a bunch of them, but,
what was the hardest lesson you have learned? from the first year you were racing?
I would actually say this past year, shifting up is actually my hardest to learn.
Oh, she said from your first year racing.
Oh, I couldn't remember back then.
Well, fast forwarding a little bit, the first time we met you guys, I remember we were at Skyline up in Idaho, up in Kuna, Idaho, and we were in staging with you guys, and there'd been a kid out there racing that was giving Logan the beans, and then it was you guys.
Oh,
And
and
you-
I remember you said, you're like, who is this guy? Where did he come from?
Yeah, I'd never seen you guys before. And you were right in front of us, and you introduced yourself, and you know, in talking to you, you were telling me that you were coming down from Washington, and I was like, holy cow! I mean,
Well, that wasn't that far. That was just Idaho.
yeah,
but
Boise wasn't that
That's
bad.
the closest one.
But I was still thinking, holy cow, because we were not that committed. I guess we weren't making huge journeys. Of course, we did drive to Boise. I guess we were in Boise, but
Yeah.
I just was thinking, man, that's a long way. And you were kicking butt that day. I mean, you were, you know, I was like, man, this kid is fast. And then we got to know you over that summer. You were coming to more and more of them. And I remember thinking, wow.
Do you actually remember how we got to know you? Do you remember the reason why Callie got hurt?
Oh, yeah.
She crashed and she had to get taken to the hospital in an ambulance, and I was by myself and Jax was on the line, and I had to go to the hospital, and I didn't really know anyone I knew people just from passing,
Got you.
but I didn't really know anyone. And so I just had to look at, like, I think it was S.J. Jones' mom and, you know, I think maybe even like the Robinsons at that time. And I was like, I got to go to the hospital. Like, Jax is on the line. Someone's got to go down there and be with him. You know, I'm by myself. Can you just get him for the next couple hours? And so it was pretty nerve wracking. So I went to the hospital, just had to trust that the couple families I talked to had Jax. Still to this day, I don't even know how I did in that race. But Logan rode Leslie over to introduce her to me because you guys had heard that I didn't have anyone I really knew that well.
Oh, okay.
And so Logan rode Leslie down, and then she literally said, I wanted to make sure you had someone that you knew, and then introduced herself to me. And so that was actually how our friendship started. And I just thought that was like the best thing ever. So
I kind of vaguely remember that.
Yeah, I do.
I think the one that I remember is when somehow you got we were in Cache Valley, and somehow you got fuel in your eyes.
Yeah, well, the tank got like pressurized from the traveling. And when I went, you learn everything the hard way. When I went to, undo it, it literally burped.
Right.
And it went in my eyes, and I don't have water in the van. So then my eyes are burning, and I'm trying to, and then I've got basically what were little kids with me at that time.
Right.
I'm trying to find water bottles or something. And I don't even know how much that gas came out. I've never seen one burp that much again since then, but my hair had gas in it, like I smelled like
race
gas.
Right?
Yeah. I smelled like gas. And in Cache Valley, you can't go bathe at the truck stops. They won't let you unless you have a CDL. They're actually pretty rude about it, but, I couldn't find anywhere to rinse the gas off. And so I was out trying to introduce myself all awkwardly. People would be like, hey, would you let me shower in your trailer because I'm covered in gas? So that was another weekend that was super not fun, trying to go and, have those awkward conversations. But I think I knew you guys enough. And then I knew it was still the same family, like SJ's mom,
Right.
Where they were like, oh yeah, no problem. Come shower. And I was able to try to get it, not smell like race fuel all weekend long.
And I just remember, I was really feeling for you, because I do remember the Cali thing now and the fuel. And I was like, man, this lady is so far away from home and driving so far. Somebody help her, and you were like really struggling to, it seemed like you were really struggling to find people that would be friendly.
Yeah. I've gotten now with RMX, I've got my people I know, and, but my first impression was it was a little cliquey.
Yeah.
So I didn't feel comfortable, coming up and inserting myself into groups. Also, I just kind of learned the hard way, with the 50s and 65s and I'm just going to say it, drama, that I guess I was a little reluctant to, I guess, do too much. I mean, kind of stay a little more surface and not try to do, unless it just naturally happened with people.
Right.
So.
And over the course of that first season, one of the things that really stood out to me about both of you was how unclickish you both were. I mean, you and Logan were battling a lot, but you were friends off the track.
Yeah, that's
polite
the thing.
and friendly. There didn't seem to be any hard feelings, which I felt like was an extremely rare quality. Seemed like as soon as Logan was competing hard with somebody, that's when like things shifted. But with you, you guys were battling all season, and you guys were good friends. And the same with you. You were you were never offish. Because our kids were competitive with each other, and I thought that was really unique. Not only were you driving that far, but you guys seemed to be a totally different kind of people than what I was really used to. I think that's rare in this sport to me. When there's no quicker way to ruin a friendship between a couple of families than to have some kids that are competitive with each other, right?
Yeah, it's true,
and that's unfortunate. And so that I felt like that was a really rare quality, and I really appreciated about that.
It's part of kind of why we left the local scene, to be honest, because people just get petty, and we had a lot of drama with 50s where we actually bought Pacific Northwest Cobra's bike, his son's bike, and didn't change a thing on it, but we would get protested. Even though it was ran in the same series the year before with a different kid, for some reason it was a problem when we run it. Because Jax was beating people by so far ahead that we must be cheating. And there just was a lot of drama where I was like, I just need to get out of the Northwest. We need to, he needs more challenging races. We just need to go other places. So as I met families, I never wanted to do any of what we experienced back to people. Right. It was always my goal to not do that. And that doesn't mean I'm not perfect, but I strive to lead by example.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we really appreciated that. We got to where, we were always so happy when you guys would make it to a race because we felt similar. I think Logan felt like he had a hard time fitting in and it just felt sort of cliquish. But, when we knew you guys were coming, we're like, yes, we're going to have some people hang around. Yeah. And we had a lot of fun times together there for the couple of years you were actively racing RMX.
Yeah.
It was always good to hang around you guys.
The thing I remember most was when I would be done racing, I'd actually have Jax to go too. But when Jax wasn't at the track, when motos were all over, I'd try to go find someone to hang out with, but no one really wanted me there. So it was really cliquish. I'm like, why is everyone being like this way? I know I'm fast, but why can't you just hang out with me? And it really hurt my feelings. But when Jax finally showed up, it actually made me happy to have a friend at the track and made me want to keep racing even more.
I'm glad I just found a best friend.
What do you think? I'll ask this question to both of you. What do you think is the difference in your mindset over people that do get cliquish, and especially when their kids are competitive and then they start getting really offish and stuff? Have you ever really thought about it?
I don't know if it's just moto. I think a lot of people just want to assume the worst, or maybe just because they've been wrong so much that they just assume you're wronging them too. And so they jump to that conclusion rather than taking the time to say, hey, when you said this, it really hurt my feelings. Did you mean it that way?
Right.
Because you can always start off being friends with people, but can turn sour over the smallest things. I'm just one of those people that if you say something and it rubs me wrong, maybe I'm misinterpreting what you're saying. I'm not going to assume you mean it the way I'm taking it, but we can't ever grow as people if we don't just communicate about our feelings, right? Or we don't just say, hey, when you did this, it hurt my feelings, or hey, when, whatever. That's how we all be better people. So I just try not to assume that everyone does things with the worst intentions. And I'll write a lot of stuff off just based off high emotions or not being your best self in that moment. For me, it's when things get taken too far that I finally am like, okay, nope, you're done. I don't need to make more effort with you. I'm not going to be mean to you, but I'm not going to make a lot of effort to get to know you better. You're going to be kept in an arm's length.
Yeah.
So I just try to give people the benefit of the doubt, and I try to always grow as a person. I encourage him to do the same thing. You know, he'll never be rude to kids. If I find out he's rude to kids, even if I don't like him, it's just not the way we are. You can't be rude to someone just because you don't like them. So I hope to instill that in him too. And I think that's just the way we approach relationships and friendships is, you know, we're going to give everybody a chance until, you know, they really prove that they just aren't our people. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much my whole philosophy on life is to just try to, you know, we all help each other grow and get better. So
tell me about fast friendships too, because I would imagine traveling as much as you guys have and stuff like that, you have to get pretty good at making fast friendships, right? It's probably difficult to really, I don't know how to say it, like really have anything. You just don't have as much time to build a friendship. So has it been difficult learning how to make fast friendships on the road and stuff like that?
I like to think I got lots of friends everywhere from the road. It's kind of one of the special things. I mean, there's definitely people that, you know, maybe I've parked next to and I take mental notes where I'm kind of like, I'll remember those ones, just listening to the way they interact with each other or the way the dad talks to the kid or, you know, but I think that there's just lots of moments along the way. I mean, we were parked next to Carson Wood once at Mammoth, I remember, and I'd never seen him, right, because he's from the East Coast. Right. But we'd heard his name, right? It's kind of like being parked next to a superstar. But their family's super nice, like super nice. And then he actually went and watched Jax ride, and he came back, and he's like, "You're actually a pretty good rider," you know? And I think that was super cool, you know? And it's just moments like that. They probably don't even remember who you are, but it meant a lot in that moment, and just interacting with, you know, those families that, you know, are names, and then, you know, having those cool moments along the way. We have lots of those. I mean, we have lots of times. I would like to think that most of the people we've met along the way, we would still be friends with if we were parked next to again. Now, do we talk to each other outside of that weekend? No. Right. But there's definitely people we've gone and had dinner with and we probably never seen again. But it just, you know, you're all there doing something that, you know, it's harsh, but these kids are putting their lives on the line. You know, I don't care if they're first or last. They're going out there and they're doing something that is intense and is not easy. Right. And, you know, we're all kind of connected in that way. Right. So we all love these little guys we're letting throw a leg over a bike, or big guys. You know, so we're all connected in that way. They all mean, these are our worlds out there. Yeah. You know, racing around a track, jumping ridiculous sized jumps. So.
Well, I know that, you know, I mean, you guys were really unique people to us. And like I said, we were always so excited to see you guys. And then one of the coolest experiences that I can remember that you provided for us was in 2022. We had that rough mud race in Cache Valley with a major misunderstanding with the family, went sideways, right? It wasn't the greatest experience, right? And we always became so burned out by the end of the series, and I think that was the second to last race. We'd already been back from Loretta's. That was the first race after Loretta's, and I think that our whole family was we were just kind of like, we're done, you know. And we never really followed points. We never really like looked at that stuff, you know. It was like, it'll be what it'll be. And I remember we were getting ready to go to Rupert, which was the final round. Oh, yeah. And we were just, it was like herding cats here. I remember that day was going rough. Yeah, we were all bickering and yelling at each other. And we're, you know, like just trying to get out of the house because we're in a big rush. And I remember just stopping and going, you know what? It shouldn't be this hard. It's not worth this. Let's just not go. Something's telling me to be done with this, you know, like it shouldn't be this hard. That to me, that was just a sign that it's too hard.
Yeah, and then I remember that my dad told me that you looked at points and you told him that I was in the lead. So then he told me that, and then I made the decision to go make that last race, and then I went, and it went pretty well. Yeah,
you called to check on us, which was really cool. I mean,
we weren't there because he was broken.
Right.
Because he also had the points lead. Yeah. They were in different classes.
And we just weren't used to having people that would reach out to us and care about us like that.
Yeah.
And so that was a very special moment. You called and you were just checking us. Are you guys on your way to?
Yeah, you were actually I think you were pretty frustrated in that moment. I actually felt like I needed to let you get off the phone.
You called and you were like, "Are you on your way?" And I'm like, "No, we're done." And you're like, "What are you thinking?" And I go, "What?" You know, and you were like, "Logan's like leading in 5 different classes.
Yeah.
He's going to win." Like you could, he's like,
It's not just
you were
the
like,
weekend,
he's so
it's
far.
the whole season connected. All that hard work.
You were like, he's so far ahead. All he's got to do is just show up and race even like, you know, and I was like, really? And you were like, you're nuts, you know? And I was like,
well, that's because I drive all over the country. I couldn't even fathom throwing away the final race after all that effort.
I just had no idea. So we got off the phone with you and I look it up and I'm like, wow, he is first in 65 age, 65 open, 65 all-stars, 85 age, and 85 open. I had no idea.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know, and by that time we'd put it off so much and we'd like, we had the trailer off like we were done. And I'm like, oh my gosh, we're really going to have to stretch to get there. But Logan was like, let's do it. And so, we sucked it up.
Reset button.
And we made it happen. And it ended up being a good weekend. He got one of his number 1 plates there. And
and then it turned out really well, won the series, and then got that big plaque right there.
And I just remember, like, you know, like I said, like we just didn't have other people doing that and showing care. And that really meant a lot.
That's kind of what I mean. Like my goal is to try to make everyone, you know, and it just, there's so much that goes into this, right? So in a moment of frustration, I mean, all that hard work on all those other races and all the driving and all the other mini fights along the way, you know, you would have been staying home and letting that go to the next. Not that we don't want the next kid to have it, but you would have been letting it go to the next kid. So
I would have really kicked myself. I had no idea. I literally had no idea that was really the way it was. I literally had no idea. So I was
probably because I was super bummed that I put in all that time driving back and forth to all the classes, and then he was broken, and I was just watching him just drop down the ranks, you know, because he missed like the last two races, I think.
Yeah.
Because of his I think it was that collarbone. It was collarbone at that point because tibia came a little later for the Thanksgiving, you know, right when we went to AZ. So it was collarbone at that point because we actually went and did Thanksgiving and he had just come off the broken collarbone and then ended up breaking his tibia right afterwards.
Right.
So, so I was a little jealous. I was like, what? I can't even go and you're just going to stay home by choice. So I was like, you get out the door.
You
now.
did. You chastised me. You were like, you are nuts. I remember you were like, get your head out of your butt and get going. I was like, all right.
One of us is at least getting those. Go.
So that I remember that you had broken your collarbone. Is that, tell us how you did that.
I think that was the one at Ponca.
PIR.
Or not
That was
Ponca.
PIR.
No, not PIR was my first break.
Yes, that's that one. That timing is that one. You have more than one, so you're getting confused. But yes, that one was PIR. It was the first one.
I don't remember. I was like out for like 2 minutes. So
yeah, it was a pretty good one. Yeah.
Now that's probably the most famous motocross break. How many times have you done that? Is that the only time?
Knocking myself out? No.
No, like breaking a collarbone?
Oh,
No.
no.
No, really?
Twice.
Twice now? Same one?
Well, because that year we did the whole RMX series. That was the first year I traveled pretty much full time doing all those races, you know? And then literally at the end of the season, he broke his collarbone at PIR and then came back from that, came down and did Thanksgiving Classic, got 4th in all his classes. I was super impressed because they kept us out for that collarbone for like ever.
Right.
Everyone's like, oh, it's super quick. And then the doctor just kept saying, oh, another 2 weeks, another 2 weeks. I swear we were off for like 10 weeks. It felt forever. But came back down, did Thanksgiving. Didn't feel like he lost a lot of speed. I was pretty proud of him. Then went to AZ. He did that stupid wall jump, broke his tibia. I was like, oh my God. So then we had to go home again, you know.
Worst part is I didn't even crash.
No, he just
Broke it on
cased the
impact.
jump. He cased the jump and it broke on him. He broke on his. That's why he rode to you and dropped his bike. Do you remember? And he rode straight to you and dropped his bike because he's like, I'm broken.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't even crash. And then, you know, and here's the thing for all the Moto Moms out there. If your kid tells you they're broken, well, mine doesn't usually say that. So I didn't really believe him. I was kind of hard on him because he didn't crash, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, ride your bike back to the car. Stop being a baby. I feel horrible about that. because he was actually broken.
Right.
So I've learned to trust if he tells me he's broken, he's broken. But yeah, he broke that tibia. And then we went home, you know, that took forever to heal. Came back and we were like, it was his last year on 65s. And so I was like, you know what, we're going to really give it a go for Loretta's. Like we're going to be all in. I really, even after the tibia, I didn't feel like he lost a ton of speed. You know, his head was in a good place. It didn't affect him mentally. He was really, I felt, in a place that it was worth going for. So we actually bought an RV in Texas. And because I added up how much we were spending between the local series. So it's kind of this weird domino effect, right? Like at first I added up how much we were spending doing local races. And I'm like, for how much I'm spending doing that, I could travel and do all the RMX series. And RMX has way higher level of competition. Right. And, you know, and everyone's like, you're local fast and then you're national fast. You're never going to get national fast if you don't get outside being local fast. So I was like, okay, that's a good transition. And at that time, our motor builder was like, hey, you know, you should do RMX. That would be really good for Jax. And I hadn't really heard of it, but Pacific Northwest Cobra and then our motor builder at that time was like, you should go do it. It would be good. So I think I came down in 50s and did one race just to try it out. And I was really impressed with how organized it was, how well ran it was.
Was that the race at Stedman's?
Yes.
Okay.
On 50s. Clicky was a double-sided coin at that point because the good side of Clicky is if you don't talk to anyone, you don't have any drama. So, you know, everyone kind of kept to themselves. And I was so done with the Northwest drama that it was kind of a little bit of a breath of fresh air to go down where no one knows us and just ride. Yeah. You know, just let him ride and let that speak for itself. So, you know, I added up how much local races were costing, Chris and I decided, let's just spend that doing RMX. So that we did that whole year of RMX. Then he got hurt. Well, then when he got hurt, with his tibia, I was like, okay, well, for how much we're spending at RMX, you know, I can just take him to training, you know, for a solid 3 months. So let's try that, you know, because now we're behind from being hurt. But I still didn't feel like it was too far behind. So we bought the camping trailer, put it in Texas. We put it at Underground and went down there, got it all set up. He rode for a week and broke his tibia again in a different place. So
Second time I broke it, I did I whiskey throttled and I cased a big triple.
Yeah, they're really big jump on the national track on the 65. He cased it.
Wow.
So that was tough. That was hard. And then that one was by his growth plate. So then they kept him off for a long time. Right. But we had a camping trailer there. I mean, we were all in, right? We had it all set up, got a week into it. So then once the leg healed, I believe we had time to make maybe 2 qualifiers, you know, like the very late ones in the season. So we went down there, did that, got back to training. He trained a solid month at Underground and we went to Fox. Fox was the first regional and someone crashed in practice. Okay, go ahead, Jax. I'm talking a lot, so go for it.
So it was first practice, second lap when I started trying to do a heater, and I got about 3/4 into the lap, and I thought I was doing pretty good. And then I go over a roller. There's a left-hander, and then there would be an anthill. I go over the anthill, and there's a bike on the backside of the landing, and I land exactly on top of it, and I fly like maybe 20 feet forward into a face of a table, and I break my collarbone. And the kid is landing on the side of the track with his bike on the backside of a thing. So I get up and I move my bike. I am very mad, and I get up, move both of the bikes off of the track, and then I just collapse on the side of the jump, and I'm like,
because he knew he was broken. So then he's let's just say he was crying, and the paramedic's like, "Oh, where are you hurt? Where are you hurt?" And he's just so emotionally upset, and he wasn't answering them. And so Chris and I are like, he just disappeared. We couldn't find him. Mm-hmm. So we're running around the track. Finally, we find him in the side-by-side. They're bringing him back. He's not talking. And he just looks at me and he's like, Loretta's is done, and all of that back-to-back injuries, just 4 in a row, 4. And all the in between. And kids aren't nice. So when you come back after an injury and you're slower, they are quick to point it out.
Yeah.
Or the kid that doesn't beat you that's beating you now, they smirk, they giggle, they're not always kind, which is fine. They're all growing up. They're all learning how to be good people. So I don't hold it against them. I still will say something, but I don't hold it against them. Right. They're all growing, right? But it was hard for him. Like I watched him and he was used to being somewhat of being, in the mix. And so having to come back from all that, like I said, after the second leg, I don't feel like he lost a lot of speed, but after the third injury, the second tibia, he lost some speed. And so it was hard that month. I mean, it was great. And then he's in Texas where, if you haven't ridden in Texas, it's deep ruts. Like those kids, sometimes I don't even know how California has so many fast kids because I feel like the tracks in Texas are just brutal. But those Texas kids, I think they've got advantage. Those tracks are great training tracks. I guess, they say everything's bigger in Texas. But he came back and he fought through all that, fought through the snide comments, the pettiness. Went into Fox probably really kind of ready. He had a shot. He probably would have been in the mix and then had that happen. And it just, that almost did us in. That probably was inches away from quitting, to be honest.
I remember you were so frustrated.
So,
and it's always hard. I know for me, it's hard when, there's been like an injury that takes you out just when you're ready to hit the gas.
Yeah.
Tell me about your mindset, about a parent's mindset. When you get to kind of hit the brakes now, not because you wanted, but because you have to, and now you've got all this time off. Where was your mind at?
I don't know. You just start doubting if you're doing the right thing, right? Like, am I really doing the right thing? Is this really what he should be doing? How bad is his arthritis going to be when he's older? Why am I letting him do this? You can't see the future. So you don't know if it's the right thing. And you never know. I mean, that's all just even injuries. I mean, on the bigger scale, you never know if this is going to take your kid away from you, So there's just so much that goes into it. And he never faltered.
Really?
I offered to pay for the most expensive golf coaches. He's always liked baseball. Chris was drafted out of high school as a catcher. So baseball's in his blood. He probably really would have loved a baseball kid, but now we're in this, and we were happy to switch gears. We don't force this on him. I mean, if anything, if he told me he wanted to quit tomorrow, we would quit tomorrow. Right. And that's even with all the expensive 125 sitting in the trailer right now. But I wasn't going to take this from him. It was his decision. So I was very done. I'm just going to be honest. I was done. I was drained. I watched him go through all that. I had put all that into it, driven all those places, done that whole season of RMX just for him not to get his championship. And he was the second behind Logan and everything. I mean, They were even winning the older classes where they were competing up to 15 or 16 years old.
Right.
So I remember watching them and just thinking, God, and then just to be able to not even finish all that because of an injury. So it was just like blow after blow after blow after blow. And I know other kids go through it too. I'm not minimizing what other people go through, but it just having them so close together and having it be like a whole year of hold your breath. Okay, now we're running. Okay, nope, hold your breath again. Okay, now we're running. Okay, hold your breath again. Like it was exhausting. And I don't even know, I'm going to get teary. I don't even know how he did it. I don't, because I would have quit. So, and I'm a pretty determined person. So he just never changed his mind. So we just kept going. And then after he was better, even after Fox, we kept our stuff in Texas. We flew home. I left the bikes there. And we just took a break and we got him better. And then we just decided he needed to move up to 85s. He grew tremendously during both those legs. I think he grew like 10 inches that year.
Wow.
So he just looked like a monkey on a 65.
Tell us about your mindset through that whole period of time, Jax. I mean, your mom kind of filled us in a little bit, but I'd like to hear from you. Did you have any doubts at all through all that? No?
Nope, not one. I just was waiting. Every time I'd break myself, I would be like, when is my next time to get it back on the bike? I mean, as soon as I could swing my leg over the seat, it was right back to the grind. And every time I would break myself, it was, disappointing, but I know I'd get back on the bike eventually, and I'll just have to work harder to get back to it.
Do you remember laughing when you broke your collarbone with the doctors at the hospital? You told them you were glad it happened because you had built it up in your head to be such like a life-ending thing, breaking a bone, and you were giggling and laying there, and you're like, now I know it's not that big of a deal. I'm glad this happened.
Really?
And the doctors were like, what? And he just laid there. He's like, I really thought this was going to be worse. And then every time he broke his bones, he never cried because it was broken or it hurt. He cried because of the time it was going to cost him off the bike. It was that was always the response. So, I mean, that kind of lends to itself to what you just said, where it was like you were just focused on when you're going to get back on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, was it that period of time somewhere in there where you were asking for stickers?
Yeah, for his cast. I was just trying to keep him in a good mood.
Well, so that brings me back to a funny memory that we'll kind of tie it back in. But was it your arm that was broke? What was broke?
That was the most recent injury, was the arm. That was last year, but that was his tibia. We had the scooter, and we were trying to cover the scooter and his cast with stickers. And I had started it kind of died off. I had started a page called basically it was just for riders that are injured, and it was where you would post contact information for them, and then you could send them something to keep their spirits up. I had done it in the Northwest. It did kind of die off because when you're traveling and doing stuff, it's really hard to stay on top of getting all that information. And I tried to bring in a couple other moms, but it just didn't ultimately work out. But I loved the concept. So the concept was when one of them gets hurt, the rest of us can send them candy, send them a card, send them stickers, whatever. And so it kind of actually started a little bit after that, because when he got hurt, a bunch of people sent him candy, send him cards, send him stuff to keep his spirits up. And I'm like, this is great. Let's do this for everybody, like as much people as we can. So
I remember seeing you put out a post that was like, hey, let's send Jack some stickers to cover his cast with. And I had a good idea for a sticker based on a funny memory. And I can't remember exactly what it said, but the one with the snake, it said something like...
Are you going to tell that story so you can let them know why you did the sticker?
Yeah, I'm going to tie it back. Do you remember exactly what the sticker said now, though?
I don't.
I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, I might have pictures of it.
One of the stickers that we ended up sending Jax had a snake on it, and it had a funny thing about a story. So these guys were staying with us one time at our house for a week or something in between races. Was it the Delta area?
I don't know.
Qualifier?
It was RMX races that were like a week apart, and I'm like, I'm not driving home for
a week. I think it was Jordan River, and then you were waiting to go to Mammoth or something. Anyway,
yeah,
you were staying at our house, and Logan and Jax headed out into some fields over here by our house where there's no houses, and they'd been gone a long time, and we had to get going. Mm-hmm. And I think Jax actually called you, and he said, "Mom, Logan's been bit by a rattlesnake," and then hung up.
Yeah,
he said.
No, he said psych.
Yeah, he
said psych.
Logan got bit by a rattlesnake. Psych, really fast,
and hung up. And then I'm looking at you, and I'm like, he said that Logan got bit by a rattlesnake, but he said psych, but I don't know. And then we kept trying to call back to see if they were joking, and then they both weren't answering.
I remembered you started falling apart a bit. Like you were like really like, oh my gosh.
Because I thought your kid was hurt, and then I also didn't know if my kid was being an a-hole.
And we didn't know where they were. And I remember we went out front, and we had kind of a basic concept. Logan had always talked about building this fort somewhere out there. I'd never been to it. And so I'm like, I kind of know where they might be, but we went out and we were calling around the neighborhood. We were driving around the neighborhood. Yeah. I think we even went as far as to call the police, I think.
Because we thought then I said, well, what if Jax got bit too, and that's why they're not answering?
Right.
Because we didn't know.
And they weren't answering their phone at all. And so we go driving around, and we went clear down a long way around, and we're coming up this little canyon by where I thought they might be. And there was some lady there. And didn't she say, yeah, I saw some kids.
2 kids, yeah.
And we're like, okay, so we drive up there and then we see him standing on the edge of a really deep ravine.
Yeah.
Jax is bleeding.
I remember Jax. I showed you before. You come tumbling down the hill.
Yeah, I slip and I just start.
Anyways, Jax
Yeah.
is bleeding. At that point, I don't know why. And I'm like, oh, God. They both look beat up.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're like, what the hell? Why aren't you guys answering your phone?
I was so mad.
And Jax is like, my phone's down in the ravine. And down at the bottom of the ravine were like a bunch of goat head sticker bushes.
Yeah.
And I remember like, well, you got to go down and get your phone.
I was so mad at
You
him.
were so upset. And I remember we're trying to lower him down this ravine so that he can kind of scoot down there. And he ends up down in the briars, getting stuck and trying to crawl back up. And so, that became one of our catchphrases. Like, Logan's been bit by a snake. Every time we'd see each other, we'd reference that. And
Oh, and you were so gracious too, because I think what they did is he said it and then he immediately knew it was wrong. And didn't you say you ditched your phone down the ravine because you were so scared?
No, I literally flipped. And then I cut myself and then my phone fell out of my pocket and then I got all the way back up there. Like, it took me probably 15 minutes to get back up there. And then I realized my phone was down in the ravine. I'm like,
Well, the timing of all that was absolutely impeccable.
yeah, it
Yeah,
was,
he
it was
literally-
bad.
that was
Look-
definitely not our impression. I think we felt
Yeah.
like you called
And
then
ditched
the
it.
phone.
I to this day, I think I thought he ditched it out of being scared.
Yeah,
Right.
he
But-
literally looked at me as like, my phone's still down there. And then he's like, I don't want to go down there again.
My God, kids.
So yeah, and then we headed to the race. Yeah, it was quite a harrowing couple hours or
Mind you, they were
Hours.
probably what, like
9.
9 or 10?
Yeah,
Yeah, 9.
pretty young.
So you can't get too mad. But oh my God, seriously, your son's been bit by a rattlesnake. Psych. And then just nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, sorry to distract you. I
it's okay.
was thinking about that when you were talking about the brakes. I was like, where was that in the whole thing? But so picking up where you left off. So you have these injuries. You're done on 65s. It sounds like you decided to pack it up off 65s because he'd grown.
Yeah.
How did you guys come back after the injuries, after your last recovery? What was the first step coming back?
I actually think
We had to go back down to Texas because we left your
Yeah.
bikes there.
I went down to Texas and then we switched facilities, I do think.
Yeah. There was a kid at Underground. I don't really care if his parents see this. There was a kid at Underground that everybody had a problem with. He would pick on like everyone. He's not there anymore. I heard through the grapevine they finally got kicked out, but he I don't know. It's like his mission in life to just cause problems for like everybody. And it wasn't just on the track. Like he tried to take people out, even younger kids out on the track. But even off the track, like it was Jax's birthday. He had just come back from, was it post collarbone?
Yeah.
Or no, it must have been. It was between the tibia and the collarbone. And it was his birthday. I hosted a pit bike birthday at the track. Totally all kinds of games for pit bikes. Decorated the clubhouse, had a big birthday. Everything went great. I mean, we even had one where the parents threw water balloons at the kids on the pit bikes. And if you got hit by a water balloon, you were out. Like it was so much fun. And then they played baseball afterwards. And all of the parents went back to their trailers. Like, it was just the kids playing. And the kid hit Jax across the leg with a bat on his leg. He just came back from breaking. Because what happened is they were playing baseball. Jax was at bat. Do you want to say this?
Was this
Do you want to explain it? Or you want me to?
I was at bat and apparently he went to grab the ball and the guy threw the baseball, like an extra ball. He threw the baseball and I swung and I hit his head and then he grabbed the bat.
The ball hit his head. It ricocheted off your bat.
that's
Not
what
you
happened.
hit him with the bat. The ball ricocheted and hit him in the back or in the head. The way it was explained to me is they were pitching and Jax was practice swinging and it just happened to hit Jax's practice swing and then it hit the kid in the back. Like it was just a freak accident. But the kid didn't stop to figure out what happened. He just turned around and hit Jax over the legs with the bat.
Wow.
So Jax drops to the ground. There were parents that saw it. And these were parents that had already been having problems with that kid. So they come over to the camp. Chris happened to be there because it was Jax's birthday. They come over to the camp. They're all heated. It's heated. Like the parents are all upset and they're telling me, so then we go out there and, I'm way too nice. I'm assuming he needs to just understand that next time we need to figure out what's going on before we do this again. Like you need to not just turn around and swing, make sure it was a freak accident. He didn't hit you on purpose, but he didn't, give it time to do that. Anyways, long story short, there wasn't a lot of remorse. There wasn't a lot of remorse from the kid. There wasn't a lot of remorse from the parents. They said they weren't going to make him apologize. It was a whole thing. I just didn't love the way it all went down. The dads got pretty heated. Even the dads that aren't even my kid's dad were pretty heated because this kid's been a problem. So I just didn't really want to go back there. It had nothing to do with training at Underground. It had nothing to do with the rest of the people there. I had a lot of friends I made. I just didn't really want to go back and have to deal with that. It just really, the whole thing rubbed me the wrong way. So after his collarbone, I was like, all right, we're going to go back down. We're going to try a different facility. So we went to Tapped House, which actually I really like Tapped House. I know they've had they're closed now, but they've had, I've heard about drama in the past. But from my experience at Tapped House, for the most part, and it was full. It was sold out while we were there. The majority of the kids were great. The training was good. The tracks were good. I feel like Taylor, and Zach really cared about Jax. There was a lot of effort made. Jax made a lot of progress. And coming back from all those injuries, he was able to make it to Loretta's the next year, first year on the 85. Nice. So I feel like it was the right thing for us at that time. But yeah, that's how that went. So we moved facilities, went to Tapped House, and, like he said, just got back to grinding. So
tell us about how it is to be at a facility. Like, how different is that? Was it a totally different thing than anything you'd ever done?
I mean, every day you got to wake up. It's like having a job. You got to wake up at a certain time. You got to get to the place you're going at a certain time, and then
you work out twice a day.
Yeah, you work
at Tapped House. You work and with Miss Kelly. Yep. And if you were late, you had to run.
If you were late, you had to run a good bit. So, you never wanted to be late there. So I made sure to be always like 10, 15 minutes early. Made sure to bring a water, had workout shoes, did my workout, did the stretches, and then we would always go and we would train for 4 30-minute sessions and then be done, and then we would have an hour and a half long workout session, and then we would be done. Yeah, in the afternoon. Then we'd do homework. Then.
How many days a week did you do that?
4. Gotcha. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday normally you would ride, and Saturday, Sunday you would
go to races.
Yeah.
Did that ever get old? You said it was like a job, kind of, but sometimes when something's fun becomes a job, it gets really old. Did it become old for you, or? It
did become tiring, but then you just gotta realize that this is what you signed up for, and you gotta just push through it.
It would seem to me that, at least in my professional career, anything that started fun becomes a grind, becomes a job. And then from then on out, it becomes the rewards from your skill. Not so much what you do, because that's old now. It's a job now. But the rewarding part is the little things you find along the way. Are you kind of at that point now with Moto? Is it still fun, or is it? Are you like more leaning on the results and stuff now? What keeps you moving forward?
I mean, it's always fun. There is no not fun in this sport. I mean, there is some races where it's not the most fun, but there's I mean, the results are definitely good, but racing is definitely the fun part for me. So getting the adrenaline from the gate dropping and riding is that's the fun part, the adrenaline rush.
I think for you that it's hard when you have to try to practice alone. Like he doesn't love to ride by himself.
He's a social rider.
Yeah. So, and sometimes that's hard because there's kids that like to ride by themselves. And so, if you show up at a track and there's only one other fast kid and you want to go ride with them and they don't love that, sometimes that's hard. But he likes to have people to ride with. And so, that's the hard part for him is if we're not at a facility, if we're at home, and he just has to go out and do some 20-minute motos by himself or something. Honestly, it's just not his best. It's not his best. He doesn't grow as much under those conditions. So, that's part of why we go to the facility, and we can't live full time at a facility. That's just not in the cards. And I have another kid to think about. But we can dedicate that solid amount of time once a year. And we're very lucky that, we own our own business, and, Chris and I are able to divide and conquer, and make this happen. But there's got to be a limit to it. And I think that it also keeps him from getting too burnt out, because we do it for that solid amount of time, and he knows we're going to go home. And when we go home, I would love if he would work out more and be more consistent off the bike when we're home. But I also know that's his time to kind of unwind and relax and have some, reset time. So I think that there's a good balance between doing it part-time. We're still gone a lot between driving to all the races, but that real strong grind is just in the spring for us. Before Loretta's.
How many months is it that you are dedicating?
So the last couple of years we've gone basically right after Christmas up until Spring Nationals. Gotcha. So it's about 3 solid months.
And you had said that you'd mentioned, you and Chris are able to divide and conquer. That's an interesting part of the dynamic here that I always found so impressive about what it is that you guys both do. All the traveling that you do, especially though. Tell us a little bit about what you guys do for work.
Well, we own a construction company. We started it, almost probably 18, 19 years ago at this point. But I do all the project management stuff. He does some, he'll order some of the materials, but I order most of the materials. And then I do all the coordination with clients on what materials they want, any questions, any major problems, anything like that. I do that part. And then he does all the day-to-day. So he does all the employee management, and then subcontractor management. He works with his actual hands and builds the projects. He's not just a supervisor. And honestly, he's just so immensely talented with building houses, and you can see something in a 5-star hotel that you've seen nowhere else in the world, and he can make it happen. He can create it. So I just don't know. He's just so valuable that he can't leave as much. I wish he could, but he just can't. So yeah, we just haven't gotten to the point where we have, someone else to kind of pass the reins off to when we're gone, that he can leave when really important stuff's going on. So,
right. From the road, you are driving all over the country to all these races and training and nationals, and you're also a bike mechanic.
Yeah, kinda. I don't think I'm really, but I think I get a little more credit in that area than I should. I can do a lot of things, but I also have boundaries. So, these machines are keeping them safe, and there's a lot of things that I draw the line at, and I'll just find someone to help. So,
but you handle the daily maintenance, right?
Yeah.
You told me the other day that you just did your first fork swap.
I did that at home. Yeah, I swapped forks at home. I think it was either this winter or last winter, but yeah, I swapped forks. In addition to all that, you're also working remotely in your business, and that's pretty amazing. All that. That's quite a grind. What do you think about your mom doing all that stuff? It's pretty amazing.
There is no, there is no word to express how much gratitude I have.
That's really sweet, Jax. Thanks.
It's good.
Well, Jax, motocross isn't just a sport, it's a lifestyle, and I was just wondering, who's your biggest supporter throughout your whole adventure?
And that one over there, too, because he's at home working.
Well, yeah, that one, but I would say her, because she drives me
we couldn't
everywhere.
do any of this without Chris. If he wasn't willing to sacrifice and let us be gone, and, he wants to be here, so it's hard for him, too. He doesn't want to be... He wants to be here for everything. So it's hard for him to, there's a lot of moments he's missed. Yeah. So, we just couldn't do if we all didn't know our parts and do it together.
It's got to be hard on your relationship too, spending that much time apart. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. We were one of those couples that from the moment we met, I think we maybe spent a handful of days apart. until we did this. So in all those years, I mean, we didn't really take, maybe he went somewhere for a weekend with the guys or whatever, but it was very small amounts of time. We never were away for very long. And so I just think we've matured to a place where, in our relationship, and we're both very secure, that I hate to say it's kind of good, but after being married for so long, to have the time apart kind of put some of that back in it that your relationship needed, right? Because you're together so much, and you've been through 2 kids, and you know, life is kind of a grind.
Right.
So, it makes us miss each other. So I think it's healthy for us in that way.
So
right?
Reconnecting is pretty
Yes.
easy. That's good.
Yeah. So
that's good.
I think that part was good. So
Good.
it probably wouldn't work out that way for everyone, but for us, it works out that way. So
That's awesome.
yeah.
Well, you guys were building up to your first trip to Loretta's here. Let's get back to that. Tell me about that.
Well, first, everybody says their first time, very nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
I mean, the experience was good, very nerve-wracking, extremely.
Yeah. He only got 1 ticket. So, after all that, after how hard he worked and everything he did, a lot of people are like, oh, I'd never go for 1 ticket. I am not going to look at that kid after coming back from all those injuries and be like, we're not going for 1 ticket. We are going to go for that 1 ticket. If this is the one time you ever make it in your life, I want you to be able to say you went.
Yeah.
So we were going.
I think that's how it was for us too.
Yeah.
I remember 2 people in our life, because Logan only qualified for 1.
Yeah.
And it was you and Dave Phillips both were like, I think you should go, for the experience.
I think everyone should go.
Never know when you're going to go again. And I
Yeah.
thought, yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Might not ever make it again. So I guess we're
Exactly.
going for 1. So
Yeah, exactly. So, he can tell you about what the experience was like for him, and I really would like to hear what he has to say. But the parents all say just throw that first time away,
Yeah.
right? It's so much. It's
really
such a vibe when you're there, and it's intense, right? And there's expectations, and even as parents, we're all growing and learning how to make sure that the expectations are appropriate and that they're taken into consideration that these are children, and they're basically operating as professionals at that age with all the pressure of professionals, but still being children. So I've heard people say, I don't know why people even go to Loretta's when they're just fighting over those last couple tickets or those last couple spots, or they're just going to go there and get 40th. And I feel like that's so disrespectful. So disrespectful. Like, I admire you that your kids are top 10. I know you work hard. Like, I do know. But don't disrespect those kids in the back. They worked hard too.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot to get there. It takes a lot from the families. It takes a lot. I mean, granted, there's probably people that showed up to 1 regional and got a ticket, and, maybe it was easy for them, at that moment. But, for this particular kid, and it's probably a lot of other kids, they went through a lot to get that ticket, and for him, he went through, I feel, a lot more than most at that age. So, but, Jax, when you went to Loretta's, what was your mindset like going into it? Because I guess I've never really asked you this, especially after everything you went through.
I mean, I generally was like, we're here. We're here finally. I mean, I'm gonna ride the track. We're gonna try our hardest and see what that does. Yeah.
And then what happened? Like how was Loretta's?
Loretta's was nerve-wracking. I mean, it was really bad the first year. Really bad. I kept crashing. I was not consistent.
This was 85, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just couldn't ride, to be honest. I couldn't ride like myself. Just wasn't me.
It's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
A lot of pressure your first time, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what are your goals for this year?
Well, hopefully I can get top 10. I can make it to Loretta's, hopefully, on my 125s. And then I can get top 10 again. And then hopefully I move up to 250s and I can get faster. And then just
Well, you didn't get top 10 overall this year.
I didn't get top 10. I
You
want overall
You
top
would
10.
have had top 10, but you had one bad race. Yeah. So, because he went like 10, 11, 24, I think.
That's amazing.
So,
Was that,
23.
were you pretty pumped about that?
I mean, the 10 was, I thought I was going to come around the finish line and there was going to be a person right there. There wasn't. And I saw an open stand. I thought, dude, I made it.
Dude, hell yeah. That's awesome to be top 10 at Loretta's. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I had me and my buddy, he trains at Oakhill too.
Uh-huh.
Me and him both fought for 10. He placed like right behind me, but we probably both deserved 10th in that moto.
That's
He ended
pretty
up
sick.
getting top 10 overall because
he
didn't have the bad moto. So, but
Now,
yeah.
on
There
a-
was something he learned this year from Loretta's. I think this was a year, even though he had decent results, we didn't have consistent results, but I do feel like he actually really learned something valuable this year. So I want to ask you if you learned what you think you learned.
Be calm, and trust your instincts. I mean, I ride better on pure instinct than I do thinking.
How do you stay calm at the gate? Do you have a ritual you do or anything like that?
We don't think. That's just a personal.
He doesn't
thing.
like hype.
No.
So he, I think Chris, with his baseball, probably performed better when he was hyped up. And so I think we just maybe assumed that, hyping him up and getting him pumped, was what was best for him. It's not. He does not want to be, it actually makes him jittery, and so he needs to just chill. Like he just has to chill. He almost probably needs a set of headphones with music. And there's kids you see doing that. So, I think in my experience, what I saw us all learn this year is he needs calm. And then he needs to not ride tense. And I think he felt the difference between riding tense and riding calm because he literally flipped a switch overnight. He went from, totally where he shouldn't have been in the back of the pack to getting that top 10.
Right.
Like overnight. So, and he just changed. Like his whole demeanor changed. So, and we actually talked to a mental coach that night before. We've talked to a mental coach a couple times and we don't talk to him regularly, but I sent him like a 911 message and I was like, I just feel like someone's got to talk him through this. Like he needs a different person to talk to. And so he was talking to the mental coach and that was when the mental coach said, what are you doing different? Like, what are you doing different? And he said, I'm thinking too much. And he's like, well, do you not normally think? And he's like, no, I normally just ride. Like I just ride on instinct, and maybe there's a different word for it. I mean, maybe someone else wouldn't call it instinct. Maybe someone would still say it is thinking in a way, but it wasn't overthinking, right? Like he was overthinking. He actually got like a 3rd place start first race of the week. He was on the board, like on the TV.
That's awesome.
First starts. Like he was right there. And I think he said, you said you went into that turn.
I went into that second corner like, dude, first race, 3rd. What am I doing? I go into the 3rd corner and I crash.
And then he was like, oh, everyone's going to be mad at me. Denny's going to be disappointed. Kyle's going to be disappointed. Mom and Dad's going to be disappointed. And then it just was a downhill, spiral because he just let that mindset, that thought process spin, right? Just kept spinning. And then it just was worse and worse and worse and worse. And of course we were mad, we were mad because I knew what he could do. We probably didn't approach it the right way back at the trailer. And then he had, what did you have? Like 2 more races after that where you still rode?
Yeah.
Just kind of a mess.
Yeah. I rode really bad. The first 3 races, the 4th race is when I put it together and then.
Yeah. Cause
5th
we
and
talked to
6th.
the mental coach that day after the next 2 races. And then that's when he said, what are you doing different? And he's like, I'm just overthinking. And then he actually said, I need to not, nothing against Chris. Like he's amazing, but he's like, I don't need the hype on the line. Like I just I need to just chill, And, so we just changed it. He changed the thinking. I told him that I don't ever want him riding, thinking about what we're going to think. Like he's not out there because of us. He's not riding for us. He is riding for him. I would have quit when he was hurt.
Right.
He's riding for him. So, I'm like, yes, yes, I'll probably be disappointed if you don't try your hardest, but you were trying your hardest and then you let the emotions take over.
Yeah.
Right? That's what I'm disappointed in. I'm not disappointed if you go down trying.
So you said you don't think, but what do you think? Like you got to be thinking about something, but like, what does that mean when you say you don't think? You don't hype. I understand, like maybe not trying to worry about specific things like what your parents are going to think, but what is it that you do think about? Because that's quite a spell you sit up there at the gate at Loretta's. I mean, that's a long process before you race. It's a lot of time to think about things and let thoughts creep in. How do you keep that blank?
So you know how you kind of zone out sometimes when you're really tired? I just generally zone out. I see the gate drop and I zone out, and next thing I know, I'm done with the race. And you know, there's some times where I can remember.
Well, you
all
have
of
to
the
plan
race.
it because you set passes up and stuff.
Well, yes,
so you have to be thinking.
I do snap out of the zone when I it's called a zone. That's what I call it. But
Yeah.
that I snap out of it and I start I think of the layout, the lines, and then I set up passes when I realize where this kid's slow at, and then I pass him, and then I'm in the zone again. I catch the next person, do the same thing, and we just repeat cycle.
What did the mental coach tell you? I mean, it sounds like he asked what you were doing different, but when you were like, I'm just not thinking, like, what did he like give you a formula for, or was he just like, keep doing what you're doing?
No, kind of. Well, he told you to, I have it on my phone. He told you to, like visualize it. Like he wanted him on the line to visualize, hold on, I'll go find it. Why don't you talk for a second? I'll go find that real fast.
He wanted me to prep, visualize, and then execute. Prep, visualize, and then execute.
And what were you visualizing exactly?
CAPE. Control, assess, plan, execute. So, only focus on the things you can control. Okay. Assess your conditions. Come up with a plan, and then execute. So in a way he is thinking, right? But this is what he wanted him to focus on on the line. Mm-hmm. And I think when Jax says he was thinking about track layout, he's, it's not to worry. It's don't worry about the things you can't control. Right. Like he said that. And then he said, you can't sports athletes perform at their best. If they're riding, like if a 1 is not carrying too much and a 9 is like full panic attack, basically, that most athletes perform their best at 5. And so he asked Jax, like, where do you feel that you perform your best at? And Jax actually said he performs best at a 3. He actually thinks he does better when he's calmer than most people like to be. And so it's just kind of a lot of talk about how to make sure you're at that place. He asked Jax what his biggest strength is when it comes to riding, and he said his instincts. And so he basically just said that he wanted him to go out and just trust his instincts, not overthink, on the line, do the CAPE thing, focus on what you can control, assess the conditions, come up with a plan, and then go execute it. And then, just don't put the rest of it aside, and just ride with your instincts. Jax likes to tell me a lot when I look at him and I'm like, what are you thinking about? And he's like, I'm not thinking about anything. I think he calls peace not thinking about anything, like that kind of calm where maybe you're just kind of singing in your head or you're humming or, we used to have GoPros on him when he was little. He genuinely would be singing.
Oh, really?
Like on the GoPro, we heard him at times like humming or singing. I never could tell what he was saying, but he's just like a happy little kid, like chirping away. And so sometimes I imagine that that's what he means when he says he's not thinking. So
not thinking is maybe just thinking about something else other than the race.
Yeah. Or just being relaxed, in the moment, in the zone, like he said.
Gotcha.
Is that kind of what it is?
I mean, kinda and no, because sometimes my brain could just be cobwebs, or sometimes I could just be listening to listening to a song on repeat. So
Your brain is that like just
yeah, it's
in between passes?
It's literally wild.
Oh.
It doesn't have a saved program.
So you don't, when you're coming up to a turn, you're not thinking about what rut you're going to take?
I mean, you
just know where you're already going.
I already know where I'm going. I mean, if there's a kid in front of me, we're gonna try a different line. But if there's no one in front of me, we're gonna take the same line that I know is good, and we're gonna do it over and over again. So,
Well, Jax, I have one question. What's your favorite motocross track to ride?
that is the toughest question of the year right there. Don't know. I got some tracks up there. I mean, there's always Horn, which is very fun. You got Mesquite, which is one of my favorites. You got Washougal, which I love. I couldn't pick one. So,
Do you like more hard packed tracks or do you like sandier tracks?
I would say hard pack and more clayy tracks. So,
Like pallet?
yeah, I mean that gets about where I'm comfortable at, where it's a mixture of hard pack and deep ruts.
Mm-hmm.
So that's about
You
It's the spot.
you were
that's
really
where it's at.
excited to come back to Mesquite because you were really looking forward to riding in some ruts again.
Yeah, I was
Like he was genuinely excited. He just out of the blue in the car was like, "Oh my God, I can't wait to ride those ruts." I was like, "That is not what most people say."
Mesquite's always a fun track to ride at, I think.
Yeah.
Most of the kids really enjoy Mesquite.
I mean, yeah, if you can find the lines at Mesquite,
You
the
left
track.
out Oakhill. You love Oakhill too.
Yeah, I love Oakhill. The Oakhill is such a nice track. Training track, amateur SX,
Yeah.
main, anything there is good.
He honestly has a lot of favorite tracks. I've asked
Yeah.
him that question a bunch of times, and it probably just depends on his mood because he really likes a lot of tracks. So, and he's seen a lot of tracks. Like that's the other thing. Like with all this traveling, I feel like we've probably ridden more tracks on this side of the United States than we haven't ridden. Like he's very lucky. He's seen a lot of dirt.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well, who's your favorite pro?
Pro?
that's easy.
That's Eli Tomac. I mean,
That's one of my favorites.
Eli Tomac
Probably my
and
favorite.
Jet Lawrence.
Yeah.
Hey, are you already doing the rapid fire? Let me ask him one more question
All right.
here about their first time at Loretta's, because there was a great story, not about racing, but your trailer. It was disaster. Your first time at Loretta's. You want to tell us what was going on back in the camp?
So Chris actually got there before us, and so he had camp all set up, which was amazing. But he pulled into Loretta's parked, and well, I don't know if it was our friends or just someone next to us. They're like, "Oh, you got stuff hanging down under your trailer," and he went and looked, and all the shackles had broken.
Oh,
I don't
wow.
even know how he made it there. All the shackles were broken. So we had to have a mobile welder come out, and we had to get like overnight ship, shackles and get it welded right there on site, which was not cheap. And, we already were spending the money to be at Loretta's. So that was stressful, get there. I'm looking forward to, I had stayed, I don't know. I was just looking forward to being in my nice big trailer. And I think it rained that first night. And I hadn't even crawled in bed. And I come inside and it's like raining from our ceiling and in the master. And I'm like, what is going on? Well, Chris had cleaned the ACs, and I don't know, something during the cleaning process had made it get clogged. And so it was backfilling. It actually wasn't the rain. It was two things. The AC was getting condensation and was back draining into the RV. Then it rained that night, and he had you had clipped something clipped the top of the RV on the way to Loretta's.
Oh.
And so it ripped the membrane.
Right.
And so he had taped it shut. So not only was the condensation coming out of the AC, but then the membrane was was ripped. Well, it bubbled under the membrane, the condensation from the AC. I can't remember. It just bumped. So we had this giant water bubble on our roof. So that was what it was. The condensation backfilled into the roof.
Oh.
There was this huge water bubble on our roof. He had to get up there and cut the membrane. That's what it was, to drain the water out. And in this whole process, it was coming through the AC and it was literally coming out of all the lights in the bedroom. And so my whole bed was soaked. All the blankets were soaked. You know, laundry at Loretta's is a nightmare. And I'm like, we're not even sleeping in our bed. Like, we're going to have to sleep on the couch. And so we slept on the couch. I think I went and did laundry like the next day, put the bed back together. We had to run a fan like nonstop. You know, so we just, even on top of him, it being his first time and him being nervous, like we all just weren't in the best of moods to start the week off because of all that. So it just was a rough go. And then, and I drove the van. There. Chris drove the RV or pulled the trailer. Then we leave Loretta's after already having a rough week. And the van gets sideswiped at the truck stop. We had pulled in, gone to bed. We slept in the RV. I put the van in the very front of the truck stop parking so that, you know, because I always worry someone's going to back in and not be able to see it. So I park it like the very, very front. Well, apparently that wasn't good enough because they backed the trailer in and sideswiped the whole side of the van. It was like ripped open to the frame through the metal like Freddy Krueger, like just ripped like shreds.
Wow.
And there's no one parked next to us. It's an empty spot. So we wake up and, you know, Callie comes running in. She's like, Mom, did you see the van yet? And I'm like, why? And so I go out there and look at it and I was like, oh my God. And so I just thought, you know, I'm like, what if this guy is so dumb that he hit our van and then went and just parked in a different spot and went to bed? Because he had to have been tired. So I go walking around the truck stop and I literally found a truck with the shards of our van hanging off the back of the trailer.
Wow.
Yeah. So we called the cops. They came, you know, they could see the evidence. It was right there. It matched all of our stuff. And he just said, oh, I didn't know I hit it. And so they did end up covering it. The trucking company did. It was, you know, a fight. Because the guy was like, oh, I don't remember hitting it. You know, it was so obvious he did. I had all the pictures. Right. So we ended up, you know, getting it. So now we have a new van. But that was just that Loretta's was like the worst. It was just the worst. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. You can go ahead and do your rapid fire. You ready for some rapid fire questions? Or is there anything else you want to cover? I think we've kind of covered.
I mean, we didn't get to the point where we went to Oakhill. I really do want to acknowledge Oakhill because, you know, obviously we were at Underground, we were at Tapped, but Oakhill, I really feel like that's what's gotten Jax to this next level. Like he kind of touched on that they wanted him to grab another gear. That was something that they really honed in quick. Like with
come in the corners faster and a higher gear.
Oh yeah, same with me.
Even across whoops. Like they were like, they didn't even have, you know, like you go see someone and they're like, oh, I got to give it time. I can't give him feedback. I got to watch him for a few days. Within like a day or two, they were honed in on exactly what I feel like he needed.
Nice.
They don't give everyone the same training. They're not telling all the kids the same thing. I'm sure you've been to trainers where like they pull the whole group off. They tell the whole group the same feedback. They like really hone in on what each kid needs. It just, I don't know. Like it's just, they're working with some big names right now and it has to be for the reasons I'm telling you. Like they just really have, and they're not paying me to say this. I don't get anything free. We don't even get a discount.
But they won't turn down discounts.
No, I will not. But like Denny knows, like I've got other kids coming there this year. Like I literally have a B rider that's mom's driving him down, putting the motorhome next to me and going home.
Nice.
You know, and I believe there's a girl rider coming from Washington. I think her mom's bringing her. You know, there's people coming because of Jackson, because of us and what we've said. But I just want to put that out there because there's a lot of training facilities and I haven't been to some of them, so I can't speak. I'm sure there's other really great ones. But like, you know, Denny and Kyle are like a yin and a yang. You know, Denny is very much a toe the line, you know, just go do it. You know, you can, don't make excuses, you know, and then Kyle is more, okay, let's figure out why you can't, you know, let's figure out what's holding you back. Why don't you try this? This is what I see needs to happen. They complement each other so well. And that's just what I feel like, you know, like this year, Jax has really And maybe it's because he had those injuries. Maybe that's why I feel like we had so much momentum this year, because we finally got a solid year of nothing going on. And you know, he's had a lot of seat time. But I really feel like Denny and Kyle tapped into things that Jax needed to change and got new speed, more speed, you know?
That's amazing.
And I know he agrees, because I asked him, I said, what do you feel like was the biggest thing that helped you this year? And he's like, grabbing another gear, and how that pertains to multiple dirt conditions, you know, like muddy, dry, you know, and just whoop speed, you know, like
Braking bumps. Your suspension tends to set on top of them better in it. Your bike runs a lot smoother on top of it.
Up a gear. Yeah, like it just clicked. Like it just made sense to him, and I noticed how much of a difference it made. So I just didn't want to talk about all the facilities and then not end up talking about the one we ended up at.
No,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's good. We enjoy hearing about them all, you know, because we fantasize about doing something like that someday. But it's nice to hear the feedback.
I'll also say this, as a Moto Mom, the moms at Tapped House, and I'm not the only one. It's all moms. Once you get out on the national level, there is a vast majority of moms. Like, it's all moms at the facility because dads are working, you know? So I'm sure there are still, you know, dads that just at Oakhill, it is all moms. And, you know, in my experience, you get that many women together, there's going to be cattiness. There's going to be, you know, clickiness. And there is not, I mean, from my experience, there is none at Oakhill.
That's cool.
All the moms, I mean, we will text each other and say, hey, taking the kids for pizza. Can your kid go? Hey, heading to town. Do you need anything? Do you guys want to go out tonight and just grab a drink? Like, I feel like even if we have differences of personality, we all know we're in this, doing this, and what it takes, and that, you know, we need to kind of like, we're a team, you know, like, and so, you know, if you were there with me and you're hearing this, like, I just want you to know I appreciate you, because that's not the way it was everywhere we went. And that's another really good reason why people should consider Oakhill, because the vibes are good.
That's awesome.
So
that's good. I'm glad you found something like that. Yeah. That's really cool.
So I like it a lot.
Awesome.
Well, Jax, what's the funniest thing you've seen on a motocross track?
I'd say some random Joker line that you're never supposed to able to do. I mean, there was one at Horn where you would go from the inside to the outside, and you would jump over a step on, step off to get to the outside triple, and it was so dumb that it was funny, because it was a fast line, but it's not legal at all. So you just do it in practice, and then you would end up having to go step on, step off in the race. So I just thought that was funny.
What's the best bike you've ever owned?
105, a gas 105.
How do you like your new 125s?
I've only ridden them 3 times,
Really?
and one of them was on stock suspension. The other one, the other one was with suspension, and I haven't gotten to ride them with the GYTR kits. So,
well, one last question. What is one word to describe motocross in general?
hard.
Hard, that's it?
Hard.
I think you should pick a different word.
Tough.
I think you should pick a different word.
What's your word, Mom?
Intense?
Mental.
Mental, yeah.
Definitely mental.
I don't know. I just think it feeds your soul. So I think it's
Well,
passion. I think
that's
it's passion.
Why? Like,
I think you must have a lot of that if it's still fun, even with all the grind and the work, and you still find the fun in it.
Yeah.
I think that's been one of our biggest challenges, wouldn't you say, is that when it gets hard, you seem to seem to lose interest fast.
Yeah, that's when like I quit in 2022, is because all that racing just felt like so much pressure on me. I'm like I wanted to stop, but I didn't want to stop because I thought my parents would be so mad because they put all that work in and spent so much money on me. I'm like, I don't think I can quit. But then my dad like finally brought it up to me, and I really thought about it. I'm like, you know, Dad, I kind of want to try snowboarding because he's mentioned that. I've never tried it before, and after that break was really nice, and now I'm back at it. And I feel like I'm more like focused, like my nerves don't get me as much. And I feel like I'm more calm during races, and it's just kind of funner now.
Yeah.
But I know I'm going to hit that spot again, but when I hit that spot, I'm going to keep working on it.
Is that the way you feel? It feels like we're really having a hard time. Like we know the template, but we just can't find the rhythm, is the way I would say it right now. We're just kind of taking it easy too. We're trying not to be too much pressure to start
Just
off
going with the flow.
Go gradual. Yeah, I think that I'm kind of waiting for him to find the flow. You know what I mean? So I'm just kind of. Meanwhile, Ozzy seems to have the flow, so that's fun. It's kind of fun going back to the beginning, but yeah.
Well, and I probably need to make sure I mention Callie in here too, because if she listens to this, she sacrifices a lot, right? Like she doesn't ever guilt trip me for how much I'm gone. Me and her are super close, even though we're gone apart a lot, because she's at home and she is. She says she's perfectly okay being the supportive moto sister, and she rides too. But she rides for fun, and she recently decided to kind of try to get back into it. So Chris is going to try to take her to do more stuff. But I just think we need to acknowledge, like a lot of the siblings in the sport.
Well, to tell us what she's been doing at the track, she's actually found a way. When she's not racing so she's very industrious.
We went to a race where there's a lemonade guy, and I think I got to talking to him, and he was telling me how much money he made, and I was just like, whoa. And so I just said, hey, well, actually, she did a teacher appreciation day at school. So she did a teacher appreciation day at school, and we decided to do bougie lemonades, basically.
Right.
And we had extra supplies left over from the teacher appreciation day. And so we were going to just a local race, and I'm like, hey, why don't you just do lemonade? We'll just set it up at the trailer. We'll use the supplies up, right? And because I had seen that guy and been talking to him. And so she set it up at the local race, and I think she made like, $450 or something.
Holy.
And so she was like, oh, I think I want to do this like at every race. I want to do lemonade. She really enjoyed it. So then I think we went to, I think maybe like a Washougal race. And Ryan let her set it up, and, she set it up, and we bought all the stuff, and we just put a pop-up tent with a table, and Chris made her like a picket fence order window. It was super cute. And I think she made, like maybe $700. And so then she was hooked. She was like, all right, I'm going to do this. Like if the track will let me, and, you guys will, bring my stuff, then I'm going to do this. And so over the last, I'd say like a year and a half, she's saved up enough money to buy a cargo trailer, and we went ahead and built out the cargo trailer just recently. So she's got, a whole built-in countertop. Grandma painted lemons on the back, basically the backsplash, and she's got a big, barnwood shelf that all the syrups go in.
Right.
And she is hoping to book, more races. She's 11, so we have an attorney, doing the whole business license, setting it up the right way. We have to get the trailer inspected by L&I because of Washington standards. Like it's a whole thing. We're like, it's doing it the right way. So she's hoping to book more races. And, then that's also good for Jax. If we can get in with some of these bigger racers, then he's racing, he's going, she's coming, she's doing the lemonade, it's just it keeps her busy.
Family synergy.
And she's learning. I mean, like she's learning, counting. She's learning inventory. Yeah. She's customer service. She's been stung by a bee multiple times because of the syrups. She's just, there was one day, I believe it might have been Washougal Regionals, that she sold out. And so she had no supplies left. And all the kids were going swimming. It was hot. And so I could have probably been nice and gone and get the materials for her, but that's just not owning a business. So I said, well, you can go swimming. And I said, and she already made a decent amount of money. So really she could have just been done with that. I was like, you can go swimming and then you won't be able to open tomorrow, or you can go get your supplies you need and then you'll be able to open tomorrow and you can make more money. And so I just let her pick. I didn't put a lot of pressure on her, and she decided to go restock her stuff, didn't go swimming. and then, worked the entire next day. And so I was like, see, that's one of those lessons you can't really get anywhere else.
Seriously.
So I was pretty proud of her, but, yeah. So if anyone's listening to this and they want to invite her to a race, she would probably really appreciate it. It's Callie's Lemonade. It's on Facebook. So I'll give her the shout out.
That's awesome.
So yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, you guys, we've kept you a long time. This is like almost 2 hours long. So that was great conversation.
Yeah, we
with
should
both of
probably
you.
see how bad the snow is and if we can get back on the road.
Hopefully it's melted for you guys. Is there anybody any sponsors or anybody that you want to thank before we wrap it up?
Yeah, you really probably should thank the few that make time for you, bud.
I'm gonna thank RJR for all my motors. He's really helped me out for the past few years.
Good dude.
A PDR for my suspension. He's been helping me out with suspension problems for about a year now.
Yeah, and since regionals,
yeah.
He came on board at regionals, but he makes time, for me to stumble through learning, because I don't know everything. So, and I am starting to get it now. Now, when I tell him my instincts are to do this, he usually tells me I'm on track, and he likes to give me compliments, which makes me feel good. But I didn't understand all the bike mechanics, so I needed someone that was available for me to text,
right?
And send videos to, and so he's really made the time to do that, which is nice.
Good.
So,
definitely Oakhill. We've had a discussion about that. And
I mean, you have other people that have
Yeah.
come on board and help you and give you shout outs, but those are the people that really make time, as of right now, make the most time to help us. So are we missing anybody? Grandma and Grandpa, obviously,
Yeah.
for never making us feel bad in the family for being gone.
I want to thank Devin. He was the guy that let me ride the worn down SX track. That was the first ride back from my broken arm. So I'm super glad he let me do that. That was definitely a great way to come back. And it's great riding there.
Devin from Horn has really believed in Jax actually since 50s. Other than just verbal stuff, from the majority of the time we've known him, this last year, he actually came to Loretta's. He's very connected to JMC, and JMC has also helped Jax out a lot. But he came to Loretta's, and actually like watched Jax both the times he's been there. And he just, just believes in him. And I help him out once a year with a race, and, in exchange, he just makes sure that, we have a place to ride. So I just really appreciate that. And he always he tells Jax all the time that he has what it takes and to not give up, that he's the real deal, basically. So I appreciate that. We can't leave him out.
All right. Well, that's awesome, you guys. We sure appreciate you guys making the time. I know you got a very busy schedule. You just wrapped up Thanksgiving MX.
Yeah.
Now you're heading off to Arizona for another big national. I appreciate you making the time to stop in. It's always great to get to see you guys and visit with you guys. So wish you the best of luck. This is it this coming weekend, right?
Yes, I do believe it starts on Wednesday.
Wednesday. Okay. Well, we wish you the best of luck, and I hope the momentum keeps going for you, and I hope you have an amazing one, and I hope to see a big picture with a big fat cactus. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Look.
Yeah, because he doesn't have any, he didn't have any access before this. He never got one before this.
Oh, yeah.
And he hasn't ever gotten any cactuses either. So,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
yeah. So these are first times for these trophies. Like you have all those ones hanging on the wall. He always was fourth.
Right.
When we were there before, he never got one. So it's
Well,
pretty cool that he got some this year.
Yeah, that's amazing. You're on quite a roll, dude. And we look forward to seeing how the rest of this year unfolds and that you get to Loretta's and all that stuff. So thank you again for coming in.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. Well, that's the end of this episode on the Holeshot Hustle, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Take care.
It's a wrap.